try to be brief, knowing I'm standing between you and your break. I'm the director of ICHASS, Institute for Computing and Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences here at University of Illinois. And what we basically do is act as a bridge between NCSA and the humanists and social scientists at University of Illinois and at a number of other institutions. What we do is we facilitate projects between them, some of which are like Mike Black described earlier. I'm going to describe an additional one. We're really a networked organization. We're pretty small, and we tend to draw together sets of people that around specific projects. And this particular project I'm going to talk about is Group Scope. It's one that has given some of the startup funding that's helped BrownDog get off the ground. And I'm really hoping this project has about another year or two legs, I think, but I'm really hoping that it will extend on into BrownDog. The problem that this project addresses is that we have a real key gap in our knowledge in social science, in that we know a whole lot about how little bitty groups of people operate. We know quite a bit, or at least we think we do, about how societies and economies operate. What we have a gap, though, in the middle. There are a number of groups that are 8 to 1,000 people that we just really don't have that much knowledge of. We have case studies, we have histories, but we don't have observational studies. And the reason is because of the data handling problem and data analysis problem. And a lot of groups are of this size. Disaster response teams, schools, playground groups, military teams, and so on. And what we want to do is to build some infrastructure to facilitate the observational analysis of large groups of people, that is, dynamic network organizations that develop over time. Some of them are very temporary, like emergency response, playground groups. Some of them are far more permanent. The challenge for this kind of system is that you usually have to analyze at multiple levels because there's a whole lot of different kinds of groups. You would gather multiple data streams. For example, to study an emergency management exercise, I might have 75 cameras positioned around a 1 square mile area. I would have sensors on people. I would have people mic'd. I would also probably have drones overhead taking pictures. All kinds of different data coming in. And there would be movement through time and space. There'd be a lot of dead time in which nobody was in any of these frames. There'd also be the need to track people across as they move from camera to camera, and the need to incorporate physical objects. Well, in Group Scope, what we did was we defined a set of requirements, that a system for helping social scientists and to analyze this, and this is also applicable to humanistic phenomena and so on. And what it would need to do is to support multiple passes of analysis, manage large amounts of data, automate indexing, enable search, help identify high-value segments for analysis, and incorporate multiple analytical tools, which BrownDog is really well-suited to do. And this is my social scientific envisioning of this 5 years ago in a series of layers that's hardly computational. But basically the idea is we'd start up with gathering our data, and then we would integrate it. We were thinking about using macroscope, but we've used Medici instead. Then we do second-order data extraction and first-order analysis, and then second-order analysis. And basically, I mentioned some of the ways that we acquire data. We acquire very rich sets of data. We have several test beds that we've got data from. And for data integration, we have 2 layers. An analyst's integration, that is how I would look at it as I analyzed it, and then integrating all the data underneath. The analyst integration we're using is a LAN, and what we'd like to do is to use this as an interface to pull data out of Medici into for people to analyze. A LAN is an open source annotation tool that enables you to import data and handle multiple sorts of data. You might have as many as 4 or 5, or at least you can have 4 video windows that you can switch among, multiple tracks of different annotations, like, for example, here is audio analytic data. This would be a transcription. There might be codings of that data as well from various kinds of tools. In addition to this, we also are trying to incorporate speech and video applications supplemented by machine learning. For example, speech to text, which hasn't worked out real well over the course of the project, but a lot of progress has been made. We're making better progress in terms of the video analytic applications. For example, having a person tracker that can follow people across multiple cameras and tell us where the people are and so on, and also recognize certain kinds of nonverbals. Now, in addition to that, there's a number of analytic tools we'd like to hook into the system, such as tools for mapping networks and analyzing them, process analysis methods, such as methods for analyzing sequences in the data that we would annotate in ELAN, critical incident analysis, and these are all publicly available, open source, sometimes commercial packages that we'd like to integrate. And we have 3 different test beds of data right now that's multimodal data. We've gathered data of emergency responders planning incident responses, and also we've gathered field data where we've gone out and videotaped building collapse exercises. We also have data from multi-team systems that are operating in virtual worlds where we're gathering log data from them, as well as communications data and interaction data by videotaping the people playing the game. And then finally, we have school playground data where we track kids on a playground with the particular interest in studying bullying behavior, but there's a lot of other kinds of things we could pull out of this data. And generally, the setup we've used to record all of this data is to have regular video cameras and then connect cameras and mic everybody and then attempt to get some overhead shots as well. But obviously what we'd like to do is to build the system so that it's open enough so that a whole bunch of different kinds of data can be captured for it. There's lots of problems that we talked about yesterday involved in doing this. But anyway, that's one of the projects we're trying to do and hopefully can take advantage of BrownDog.